You kids ready for Dirty Doug? Honestly, that's a really sweet nickname, and if your name's Doug, you should totally steal it. Doug was an awesome 90s cartoon about growing up with a weird family, lime green bullies, and people with food names. But just because Doug was on Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel doesn't mean it wasn't full of dirty jokes. I'm Whitney Van Lanningham, and these are the dirtiest dirty jokes on Doug. Number 8. This episode is from the Disney reboot of Doug, so that makes this joke all the dirtier for a kids network. When Doug decides he needs to be more adult, he wants to start learning new things. He tries to ask his dad what a clutch is, and his parents do this.
Phil, maybe it's time you and Douglas had the talk.
The talk. The talk, right.
Dude, Doug is trying to ask you about car parts, not the birds and the bees. But you know what? Good for them. Having positive conversations about sex from the beginning is the start to a long road of happy sexing. Number 7. When Doug and his dad finally have the talk, Phil Funny does what any dad would do and explains sex through a weird, incoherent metaphor.
Have you ever seen the salmon? The way they leap upstream? People are like that, Doug, only they are not in the water. Your mother and I don't go in the water.
Okay, buddy. You mean to tell me you never got busy with your wife in a hot tub? Why else are you having a late-in-life baby? Number 6. Okay, sorry this is the third clip from this episode, but there's no way Doug Grows Up should have ever gotten past the censors. In this scene, Doug decides that he's gonna try to be an adult by dressing, speaking, and acting like one. Unfortunately, I think he went a little too far.
Ah, good. I hope you whipped us up something delightful, darling. That's a fine little lady you got there, Phil. Hang on to her.
Number 1, never smack your mom's ass. It's weird. Number 2, never try to be buddies with your dad. You don't want to picture your parents boning, dude. It'll scar you. And 3, take that suit off. You look like Indiana Jones from the nightclub scene in Temple of Doom. But like, if Indiana Jones also wore baggy khaki shorts, which he would literally never do. Number 5. In this episode, Roger bullies Doug into babysitting his cat while he goes to a monster truck show. That's a bizarre thing to bully someone about. Roger probably could have just asked him, but whatever. The episode only gets weirder from there when Doug and Skeeter can't figure out why Roger's cat Stinky is fat, hungry, and constantly screaming. It turns out that Stinky's pregnant, and none of these 3 boys notice that this cat didn't have a penis. When Doug starts to ask why Roger doesn't know what gender his goddamn pet is, Roger and his mom say this.
Stinky is a girl? Roger, why didn't you tell me? Well, how was I supposed to know?
Son, we're way past due for a very important talk.
I know Roger's been held back in 6th grade 3 times, but he's 15 years old. He has a penis. How did he not know his cat was a lady? Number 4. When Doug and Judy's parents go out of town, they leave the kids with a super strict babysitter. When she stumbles upon one of Judy's many copies of one of her favorite Shakespeare plays, this happens.
No, not for young ladies, Judy. That man had a dirty mind.
I don't know, man. It's a lot harder to pick up on Shakespeare's dirty jokes than it is to be like, whoa, WTF, Hamlet stabbed his girlfriend's dad through a curtain? Lady Macbeth talks about spattering an infant's brains on the ground? Juliet got GHB from a priest? Why? But cool. Keep harping on the fact that Malvolio spells out the C word and Benedict tells Beatrice that he wants to die performing cunnilingus on her. Whatever, prude. Number 3. Later on in that episode, Judy sneaks out to go to an Italian opera film. You know, a totally normal thing for a teen to do. I don't speak a word of Italian, but I'm pretty sure I hear what they say in this scene loud and clear.
Non mi piace. Testicles.
Yep, that dude just said testicles!
Testicles.
I don't really care if there's an Italian word that sounds exactly like that. This dude was talking about ball sacks on Nickelodeon, and I am here for it. Number 2. After winning a free video game for being the 10,000th customer at Computer Junkie, Doug gets obsessed with playing it and forgets to do his homework. In his fantasy world, he's actually in the game, and he refers to his alien adversaries like this.
Mop up 12 or 13 nutsuckers, boom boom boom.
Okay, so next time I say nutsucker on camera, you can't bleep me out. Doug said it first. Number 1. After every single kid in Doug's middle school bullies him for having lame sneakers, Doug finds himself getting seduced by a Quentin Tarantino shoe commercial.
All my men wear shoes, or they wear nothing at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that those were a couple of foot fetish commercials. These are the dirtiest dirty jokes that I could find in Doug, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe to NerdWire, and I'll be back next week to ruin your childhood.